How do you know when you're in love? Is there some kind of definition or criteria to use to determine that this is in fact love? No, there's not. It's kind of like, it's kind of like pornography in that way. But instead of knowing it when you see it, you know it when you feel it. It's that warm feeling you feel when you see them, that feeling you get when you're holding each other as the afternoon sun fades away, or that falling off a cliff feeling in your stomach when you know they're gone. I think I was in love once, if only she loved me back. It all started a little over 5 years ago. My parents had split and I was living with my mom in an apartment, and she was invited to the wedding of my grade school sweetheart, my first love, first kiss, all that jazz. And there was a few dropouts the day of the wedding, and I was invited to escort my mom to the wedding. Now, I don't really ever remember thinking of turning down this invitation, but looking back, it does seem a little embarrassing to escort your mother to the wedding of your high school sweetheart. But I'm so happy I decided to take up that invitation that day, because that day changed my life so profoundly for the coming years. So I put on my thrifted tweed jacket and borrowed a tie from my neighbor and escorted my mother to the wedding. It was a nice traditional Catholic wedding, followed by a warm reception with old high school friends, and we danced and laughed until they kicked us out. But we weren't ready to let the night go away, so we all decided to rendezvous at the bar room at the Marriott. As fate would have it, there was another wedding going on that day of Lancaster Catholic kids who also had a rendezvous at the Marriott after their wedding. We get there and I was introduced to a girl. And we had met once before, but it wasn't really that memorable of an introduction, at least not for her. But I put my best foot forward and introduced myself again, and she asked me to dance. There was a guy playing the guitar there. No one else was really dancing, but I didn't care. I would have danced all night if she wanted to. The night went really well, and I convinced her to come back to my place after. Or should I say my mother's place? So we were on our way back, and as we walked in, she noticed all the nice decor and asked, "Oh, do you live with women?" I said yes. She had told me earlier that she had never done this before, so I figured we were both kind of lying. I'll be a gentleman tonight and spare some of the details, but the next morning we woke up in glowing euphoria. That is, until I explained to her that this was my mother's apartment and we should probably sneak out fairly discreetly. After a short quarrel, we managed to get out of there unnoticed, and I still remember the crisp fall afternoon and the kiss goodbye and the promise of a more proper introduction to come soon. The courtship ensued, and if not awkwardly at times, beautiful at others. We shared a lot of common interests. We both loved dancing and music and reading, David Sedaris, nature, and among other things. But we had some disagreements, some small, some not so small. But at the end of the first year, we decided, while not perfect, this thing we had was still good enough to keep giving it a go for the long haul. The following year was 2020, and I bought us tickets to a show, a Red Hot Chili Peppers show, for a Christmas present. At least I thought it was a Red Hot Chili Peppers show. Ended up being Red Hot Chili Pipers that I scheduled. So to make up for the flub, I booked a stay at the Hotel Hershey where the concert was going on. And then 2020 happened. And the day of the show, it was canceled. But I still had booked a stay at the Hotel Hershey. So we did that. And I think that weekend in Chocolatetown may have saved our relationship for another year. The following year went on, and The good times were good, but the bad times were bad. And at the end of the following year, for our anniversary, we decided to cook dinner at my apartment. I didn't think anything of it. We always loved cooking and hanging out together, listening to music, having a few drinks. I was in charge of the chicken. I overcooked the shit out of that chicken. It was terrible. Dry as a bone. But it was a good evening, but I noticed something was up with her. I'd known her well at this point after a couple of years, and I sensed something was wrong. And as I was cleaning up, she went missing. And when I looked around to find her, I found her in my room, in the corner, crying. I said, "I'm so sorry. I destroyed that fucking chicken." "I know I did. I'm so sorry." And she said, No, it's not that. We can't do this anymore." And maybe she was right. Maybe we weren't quite right. But I still remember how I felt when I held her and how I felt when we had to say goodbye. Thank you.